advisor to Hillary Clinton. Good to see you as always. Look, Zakaria is part of the liberal elite. Those are the people who hire him to give speeches. They're the ones who invite him to all the parties. You're laughing because you agree with me. I'm not so interested in what he said, but that he thought that it was safe to say it.
Look, if you're Fareed Zakaria, I think you can say whatever you want. Your position in the elite or whatever it is bubble stays the same. But I mean, look, I think this happens every 4 years that the losing side takes a hard look at itself and tries to figure out why. It's not like the Republicans haven't done it. The Republicans did it very seriously after 2008 and especially after 2012.
What's interesting, I think, is that after 2012 especially, right, the Romney playbook, they did the autopsy, and then Donald Trump went and did everything opposite, and he was the guy who won in 2016. There are Democrats who say we don't need to change things, right, that this wasn't that big of a loss. Congressman Crow on MSNBC.
Well, let's not overreact and exaggerate about what happened, first of all, right? Donald Trump won the 5th lowest amount of popular vote of any election in the last 100 years. So this was not any type of landslide, red wave by any stretch of the imagination. And on top of that, we have the Electoral College. And on top of that, we have substantial gerrymandering.
What is the group, shall we say, the constituency that still wants to hold on to this all-in progressive ideology?
Well, look, I think you have two things going on here. You have an autopsy, which is determine the cause of death, and there can only be one, and it was inflation. And the reason I'm comfortable saying that is because but for inflation, I think that Vice President Harris would have won. People were not happy with immigration. They were not happy with trans rights and all sorts of other things, but it was inflation on its own. Now, looking forward in terms of how to help the patient, it is a broader question because we lost in that we lost people who have typically voted Democrat, voted for Donald Trump. If we are going to win again, we can't just wait for the economy to do our business. We have to also figure out how to get those people back. And that, I think, is the honest conversation that has to happen. And frankly, I think it is happening.
Well, right. That was sort of Fareed Zakaria's point, right? He said, look at New York and look at Florida. One fully Democratic governed, one Republican governed. Population roughly the same. State budget of New York more than double. Poverty rate lower in Florida. Median home price lower in Florida. Went through crime and a whole host of other things. So in order to get people back, though, getting people back is about changing policy, is it not? What policy should change?
Well, look, I mean, you talk about the tax cuts, and I was thinking, listening to your previous segment, in that it's actually strange because President Trump's tax cuts were in effect during President Biden's 4 years. So the notion that being taxed too much, which, look, I agree with, and I think a lot of people, no one likes to be taxed a lot, is valid, but it is not as simple as simply saying it. Excuse me. If it was, Donald Trump would have served 8 years in a row instead of 4 years, losing and then another 4 years. I mean, if you look at what's gone on since, Obama.
Well, okay, but Philippe, you're making this out to be two different things, right? You're first saying it's about the economy, and now you're saying there's other things. When you brought up inflation, I think you're on to something. Bill Maher, though, disagrees with both you and I and the comedian he had on. Take a listen.
Again, that there was a worldwide reaction to the inflation bump after COVID. Everybody, as I said, Americans hate inflation.
You keep telling yourself that, and you lose the next one, too.
The point, though, and I think you did, too, to get people back, you've got to change the talk about the most progressive ideologies, all the ones that Justin Trudeau loved and all the ones that Kamala Harris loved when she ran for president in 2020, don't you?
Well, I think 2020 screwed us, frankly, because the lessons that some people in the Democratic Party learned in 2016 was that we needed to be even leftier. And that's what pulled all these candidates in 2020 left. And that's why people like Kamala and the rest of the field on these questionnaires would say, yes, I think trans prisoners and illegal aliens should have sex change operations paid for. No one thinks that's a good idea. I mean, when I say no one, 80% of America is united about that. It's probably one of the most uniting topics in America. So it's the balance and it's the focus. I mean, we can't allow ourselves to be shellacked in this just very, very successful marketing and opposition campaign, and that we are the party of trans people. We are the party of land acknowledgments. We are the party of not allowed to say Merry Christmas. These things are ridiculous. They're just not true. And look, I mean, we've gone back and forth. People want change. It is so clear. We have flipped parties with Obama. We flipped it with Trump. We've now flipped it with Obama. This is, I don't care what's going on in the world if it's a trend. What's going on here is a lot of throw the bums out.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of bums in Washington, that's for sure. Philippe, we have you on because you tell the truth. Thank you as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.